My name is Avery, and my journey into teaching began after enduring the demanding training at an engineering teacher's college. Upon graduation, I was excited to land a position at one of the area's top schools. My goals were simple yet fulfilling: to teach, possibly explore writing, and eventually start a family with someone special, whenever he might come into my life. Unexpectedly, that someone entered my life sooner than I thought, all thanks to my college friend Eden. One chilly Saturday, over coffee, Eden insisted, "Avery, you have to meet Liam. He's serious about finding something real, and I think you two would really click." Later that evening, Liam and I met at a cozy local bar. His towering presence and hearty laugh were easy to spot in the crowd. My nerves made me constantly adjust my hair, but his warm smile quickly eased my anxiety. "You must be Avery," he greeted, a grin spreading across his face. "Eden said so much about you. No pressure, right?" We laughed, and the tension dissolved. Liam, a finance officer, spoke about his job with such enthusiasm it felt like a grand adventure. He shared his love for hiking, his dislike for sushi, and his fondness for cheesy 100s movies. Years later, we found ourselves planning a wedding and preparing a home together. Our ceremony was small and intimate, a quiet garden gathering of close family and friends, just as we had envisioned. Liam's mother, Natalie, was kind and always eager to lend a hand, but as we settled into our life together, the pressure to start a family became ever more apparent. At first, her comments were subtle, but soon they were unavoidable. During her visits, she'd casually ask, "Avery, when are you giving me a grandchild? Liam's my only shot." I smiled politely, doing my best to remain diplomatic. "We're working on it, Natalie. These things take time." One evening, as I cleaned up after dinner, Liam noticed my stressed expression. "Hey, sorry about Mom. She's just excited. We're okay, right?" I reassured him. "Yeah, we're okay," but I wondered how much longer we could deflect the mounting pressure without it affecting us. Living with the constant push to start a family was like walking through a minefield of expectations, each step making the pressure more unbearable. Natalie's insistence began to fray my nerves, like sandpaper on an already delicate surface. One sunny Saturday, as Liam and I enjoyed a rare relaxing breakfast, Natalie's car pulled into the driveway. I braced myself, knowing what was coming. "Good morning, you two," she breezed into the kitchen, her enthusiasm filling the space. "So, any progress on the grandchild front?" she asked, a smile playing on her lips. After mentioning a christening, she turned to Liam. He choked on his coffee, and I tried to steer the conversation in a different direction, but Natalie pressed on. "Avery, you're not getting any younger. Maybe you should see a doctor or try those fertility treatments I read about." Cornered, I finally responded with more force than I intended. "Natalie, we're perfectly capable of managing our own affairs. We'll consult a doctor if and when we feel it's necessary, not because we're on a schedule." Liam's hand gently found mine under the table, offering silent support. "Mom, really?" he interjected, signaling for her to ease up. Family dynamics like these were challenging, but they were a test of our strength as a couple. On that quiet morning, the atmosphere balanced on the edge of respect and tension. Natalie sighed dramatically. "I just want to spend time with my grandchildren while I still can." "Is that so much to ask? We have our own lives, Natalie," I began cautiously, feeling Liam's reassuring squeeze. "We have careers, and other plans, too." "I know, but family is everything," she shot back, clutching her purse as she prepared to leave. Her parting words, "Just think about what I said, okay?" hung in the air, a lingering reminder of the pressure that awaited us. Once she left, Liam and I sat in silence, each of us lost in thought. It was becoming clear that Natalie's visits were becoming a battleground we couldn't avoid. Later, we took a walk in the park to clear our minds. "She's my mom, and I love her, but I can't stand how she pushes us like we're checking off some life list," Liam vented, frustration evident in his voice. "I know, it's like she's more focused on being a grandmother than on our well-being," I replied, the frustration simmering beneath my calm exterior. "It's as if we don't exist as a couple unless we have kids." "We need to set boundaries," Liam said with determination. "Next time, we'll be clear, firm but clear." The weight of the situation settled on us both. Setting boundaries with Natalie would be tough, but it was necessary, for our peace, and for our future. After countless tense conversations, our greatest hope was realized. I was pregnant. The joy Liam and I felt was indescribable. a haze of happiness surrounding us. But that joy was quickly overshadowed by Natalie's overwhelming enthusiasm. One weekend, as we prepared the nursery, she arrived unannounced, proudly wearing a bright pink t-shirt that read, "Future Grandmother, isn't it cute?" "Natalie, could you please wait before telling everyone? We're still early in the process and trying to be cautious," I asked, hoping to manage her excitement. "Oh, honey, when you have good news, you shout it from the rooftops," she responded, her voice rising with every word, unable to contain her joy. In the following weeks, her constant check-ins and advice became overwhelming. Her visits, filled with old wives' tales about pregnancy, began to suffocate me. "Natalie, I appreciate your help, really, but this constant hovering is stressing me out," I snapped one evening, overwhelmed by her well-meaning but intrusive presence. Despite the mounting pressure, I remained determined to keep some normalcy in my life, but balancing work with my pregnancy was becoming more difficult. One day at school, as I was explaining a math problem to my fourth graders, I suddenly felt a sharp pain that left me dizzy and disoriented. I fell silent mid-sentence as the room spun, and the chalk slipped from my hand. Darkness enveloped me. When I woke up in a hospital bed, I found Liam at my side, his face pale and drawn, holding my hand as if it were the only thing keeping him grounded. His voice, fragile and full of fear, delivered the news I had hoped to avoid. "Avery, it was touch and go. You almost didn't make it," he whispered, his eyes filled with tears. "We lost the baby." The words hit me like a physical blow, leaving me breathless and consumed by grief. I was alive, but the cost was unbearable. A doctor entered, adjusting his glasses as he spoke with a somber expression. "The complications were severe. I'm afraid you won't be able to have children in the future," he said gently. "It's a rare and tragic situation." The weight of his words hit me harder than anything. The walls of the room felt like they were closing in, and the cold air seemed to suffocate me. Liam's hand squeezed mine, offering a shred of comfort amidst the overwhelming sorrow. As if things couldn't get worse, Natalie burst into my room, her anger and desperation palpable. "I heard what happened, so, when are you trying again?" she demanded, ignoring my fragile state as I was hooked to IVs, the pain still fresh. "Natalie, I can't have children anymore. The surgery," my voice faltered, unable to contain the truth. "What do you mean you can't? That's ridiculous." Natalie's face turned beet red, her anger seeping through her words. Without another word, she stormed out, probably in search of a doctor who would contradict the irreversible reality. Liam's eyes filled with silent apologies, but they couldn't erase the hurt I felt from his mother's insensitivity. She returned soon after, her fury amplified by the doctor's confirmation. "They said what? This is outrageous. You've robbed me of the chance to be a grandmother," she shouted, her voice echoing in the room. "Mom, please," Liam interjected, his tone pleading. "This isn't helping. Avery needs to rest." "Rest? What she needs is to think about her family, about us." Natalie's words cut through me like a knife. "I'm not choosing this, Natalie, why can't you understand? I almost died," I cried, my voice breaking with the weight of the moment. Her gaze sharpened. "If you had been more careful, this wouldn't have happened. You've always been too focused on your career. Maybe that's why," she began, but Liam cut her off. "Enough," he yelled, standing between her and me. "Mom, leave. We'll talk when you're ready to be reasonable." But she wasn't done. Turning to me with venom in her eyes, she hissed, "You're not worthy of my son. You can't give him what he needs. You're not a real woman." Her cruel words burned into my soul as a tear slid down my cheek, mixing with the bitterness of her judgment. Liam, with all his strength, dragged her out, her protests lingering in the hallway. The road to recovery, both physical and emotional, would be long and painful. When I returned home, the emptiness was overwhelming. Teaching again brought little comfort, as the laughter of children only reminded me of the loss. During one of my therapy sessions, Dr. Quinn, my psychologist, spoke gently but with profound insight. "You need to mourn, Avery, not just for your lost child, but for the life chapter that has ended," she said. Her words were a balm to my aching soul, but they also underscored the magnitude of my loss. One particularly tough week, I made a decision over a quiet dinner. I confided in Liam one evening, my voice breaking as I admitted, "I can't keep teaching right now. When I look at the children, I'm reminded of what we've lost. The weight of it all was too much. Seeking peace, I took a job at the local library. The calm, serene environment of books and soft murmurs from patrons provided a sanctuary where I could begin to heal, far from the scrutiny and expectations that had suffocated me. But even in this peaceful refuge, my mother-in-law, Natalie, continued to loom over us. Her obsession with grandchildren was relentless, growing more invasive and accusatory with each passing day. On my birthday, a day I had hoped would bring some lightness, Natalie found me in the kitchen as I prepared to cut the cake. Her words, laced with venom, came out sharp. "When are you going to fix this, Maya? You need to give Liam children." I froze, the knife trembling in my hand, my heart pounding. With newfound resolve, I answered, "Liam and I are considering adoption. It's a beautiful way to create a family." Her reaction was swift and filled with disdain. "Adoption? Over my dead body?" she exclaimed, her face contorted with disgust. "I won't have some unknown child coming into our family. Who knows what terrible traits they might have. No grandchild of mine will come from someone else." Her words echoed through the kitchen, silencing the room. The weight of the gathered family's eyes felt suffocating. That was the tipping point. "That's enough, Natalie," I said, my voice firm as I let the knife clatter to the counter. I faced her squarely. "You don't get to decide how Liam and I build our family. This is our life, and it's our choice." Her eyes narrowed, her fury evident. She stormed out, slamming the door behind her so hard the windows shook. The silence that followed was thick, the joy of the day drained away by her exit. The seeds of discord she had planted quickly took root. Whispers about my so-called carelessness during my pregnancy spread, growing into vicious rumors. Some claimed I had been drinking and acting recklessly, leading to the loss of our baby. My blood boiled with anger as the false stories spread, especially when I heard one from someone I had considered a friend. I had no choice but to confront Natalie. "This needs to stop now, Natalie," I told her firmly over the phone. "Spreading these lies is hurtful and slanderous, and I won't tolerate it. If I hear one more rumor, I'm going to the police." There was a pause on the other end, thick with tension. Finally, her voice came through, cold and taunting. "You would dare try me? I'm not playing nice anymore." After our call, the rumors ceased, but the damage was already done. Family gatherings became a minefield, marked by awkwardness and silence where warmth had once existed. It seemed like life was returning to normal, but the cracks in our relationships were now visible. Then came an electronic postcard that shook me to my core, a family scene with the cruel message, "You will never be a mother." Soon after, more packages appeared on our porch, dolls covered in ketchup with notes that twisted the knife deeper. "This is your fault. You're to blame for losing your child." Each new message was a reminder of the malice that now haunted our lives. One evening, trembling, I handed Liam the latest package. "Look at this," I whispered, my voice breaking. "It's too much. I can't handle it anymore." Liam acted swiftly, suggesting we ask our neighbor, Mr. Samuel, to check his security cameras. The next day, he helped us review the footage. To our horror, it was Natalie leaving the disturbing packages at our door. The shock of discovery mixed with an overwhelming sense of betrayal. "I can't believe Mom would go this far," Liam said, his face twisted in disgust. Armed with this evidence, we confronted Natalie. The video played, showing her in the act. "Look at this, Mom, how could you?" Liam's voice was cold, his usual warmth replaced by betrayal. Natalie glanced at the screen, unfazed, her face emotionless. Then she shrugged, offering no apology. "She's spoiled goods, Liam, an inferior woman who can't carry on the family line." I did what I thought was necessary. Liam stepped in front of me, his stance protective. "If you can't accept Avery, then you can't be part of our lives. This is your last chance. Mom, apologize, or we're done." Her face hardened, her eyes defiant. "I'm only doing this for you, Liam. She's taking you away from what you deserve." On the drive home, the silence between us was thick with tension. Natalie's betrayal had shaken me, but it was clear that Liam was struggling with the rift in his relationship with his mother. He seemed distant, the weight of the situation casting a shadow over him. When Natalie invited us to Christmas dinner, I reluctantly agreed, for Liam's sake. Maybe, just maybe, there was a chance for reconciliation, but when we arrived at her house, something felt off. The air was thick with tension, the usual warmth of the holiday absent. Natalie greeted us with a forced smile, but her eyes darted nervously. The evening started off with forced pleasantries, but everything shifted when Natalie introduced Liam's ex-fiancée, Sadie. She made a pointed announcement: as you all know, Avery is unable to have children, so I think it's time Liam reconsidered his options. Sadie is willing to step in and give me the grandchildren I've been longing for. The words hung in the air, sharp and cutting. A suffocating silence followed. My heart pounded in my chest. Liam's voice broke through, low and furious. Mom, what are you doing? I didn't agree to any of this. Unable to contain my distress, I stood and spoke up. How could you? My voice trembled with emotion as I confronted her in front of the stunned guests. I revealed the full extent of Natalie's harassment, disturbing messages, grotesque packages, showing the security footage that had exposed her cruelty. Sadie, caught off guard, quickly distanced herself. I had no idea about any of this. Natalie invited me to catch up, but I'm actually engaged to someone else and not interested in disrupting anything. I'm so sorry, Avery. The room erupted into whispers, and one by one, guests began leaving, their faces filled with disbelief and sympathy for me. Natalie tried to defend herself, but it was too late. Liam's voice was cold and final. By trying to create the family you wanted, you destroyed the one you already had. I don't consider you my mother anymore. We're done. After that Christmas, Liam and I began the adoption process, our hearts filled with hope as we looked forward to the new addition to our family. But even in this calm, Natalie attempted to reinsert herself into our lives. One morning, there was a knock at the door. I opened it to find Natalie standing there, her face tinged with regret. I've been reflecting deeply on my actions, she said, her voice quivering. I realize I've been selfish and hurt you and Liam deeply. I'm truly sorry. Can we start over? I looked at her, my resolve hardening. Natalie, after everything that's happened, it's not that simple. Liam and I are focused on adopting now. I paused, my tone firm, and we're not changing that for anyone. Her face twisted in frustration. You can't seriously think about adopting a child outside the family. It's not right. That's exactly what we're doing. Natalie, it's not up to you, I replied, my patience fraying. This is ridiculous, Avery, you're making a huge mistake. No, Natalie, we're done here. I didn't wait for her response. I closed the door sharply. Liam, having overheard, appeared from upstairs. Everything okay? It is now, I said, finding peace in his embrace. I told her about the adoption. She took it poorly, but it's over now. Liam nodded, his face resolute. Together, let's make it official. We blocked Natalie's number and informed our friends and family of our decision to cut ties with her. We moved forward with the adoption process, and as the waiting period drew to a close, I returned to teaching. The children's laughter, once a reminder of my loss, now filled me with renewed joy. I realized that, though some doors close, others open, and our future was now filled with the hope and love of a child who would soon call us Mom and Dad.